Let's do this. Hello, welcome. This is another Basecamp Denver from Women Who Start Up. Listen, we are live on Facebook. We have an amazing crowd with us. Tonight, we have an incredible guest in the house, Katica Roy. She is the CEO and co-founder of Pipeline. Can we please give a nice, warm, awesome Thanksgiving welcome to our guest to the stage. Katica, please join us.
Sure. So I'm Katica Roy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pipeline. I grew up in California, in Napa Valley. My dad was an entrepreneur, and he started what is now the Hess Collection, and then sold that and built a couple of hotels. My mom is an immigrant. She actually was born on the Isle of Guernsey, which is a Channel Isle in England, which is actually closer to France than to England. And she was actually born in 1939. Wow. And in 1940, Prime Minister Churchill made the decision that once France fell to the German army, they could no longer defend the Channel Isles. So they actually made a decision to evacuate. And my mom was 18 months at the time, and they evacuated 5,000 children first. And she was actually separated from her she had 4 siblings and her mother, and actually never saw them again. Wow. She was in an orphanage and actually was adopted a year later. Wow. And that was her early story. And I think, you know, from that story and from that early trauma, trauma is never fun to go through, but ultimately on the other side of it, it gives you a lot of courage. Yeah. And so at the age of 21, she was emancipated and she moved to the United States.
What is Pipeline? Explain to us what it does, what it is, what is it?
Okay. So Pipeline is a SaaS platform that uses artificial intelligence to increase financial performance of companies through closing the gender equity gap. Gender equity, we can talk about the social issues, that's right. But at the end of the day, it's fundamentally a massive economic opportunity. Right. You know, when we talk about gender equity, we often think about women, but there's a whole ecosystem that's actually affected by that. If gender equality is the goal, right, gender equity is the path.
Okay, does it make sense? Ish?
Yeah, which is that the UN's definition of gender equality is that our opportunities will not be defined by whether or not we were born male or female. Perfect. Which we know they are.
They definitely are. And
so if you think about the best way to define equity versus equality is if you and I are different heights, right? And let's say we're standing with another person who's a different height, right? Yep. Equality is we all get the same level of bench to stand on to look over a fence.
You stand on 3 books. I'm just on my feet, and the 5-year-old girl is standing on a big
And that's
chair.
equity. That's equity.
Right. That's right.
Equality is we all get the same.
Right.
And ultimately, what that doesn't take into consideration is the fact that we all don't have the same opportunity. So a couple of things. We focus on inclusion.
Yes.
And we focus. So we don't. And we focus on. Solutions across the 5 domains of talent. So hiring, pay, performance, potential, promotion.
Nice.
So that's fundamentally the 5 buckets of how you manage talent in any organization.
Should be.
And hiring, we don't do external hiring, but we do internal hiring. And there's a really important reason for that. Because the best way to actually attract diverse talent is to ensure that your existing diverse talent is successful, right? Yep. And that not just in the role that they have, but actually across the company. And so what we do, the way that Pipeline works is we actually API into cloud-based HR systems like Workday or SuccessFactors and there are triggers across those 5 domains of talent. So for instance, you post a job requisition, you submit a pay proposal, you write a performance review. That sends a trigger to the pipeline system to actually send back a recommendation.
Cool.
And what we do, so for instance, in the hiring, we would actually look across the company to see who might be able to fill that position. We would send the hiring manager and the HRBP a slate of candidates. We give them a pipeline score, and that pipeline score, we also give them the projected economic value, and that pipeline score is connected to that. And that projected economic value is based on their gender and their skill set makeup, and their gender and skill set, and the gender and skill set makeup of the team that they would be joining.
Very interesting. So would it be fair to say that with your technology, you make existing companies and the tools that they use for human capital management, HR management, even better with your algorithms, with your AI, with your software?
Yes.
But I mean, like, that is very substantial to me, because I think companies do have a huge gap not knowing who to accelerate within their org today to fulfill a potential opportunity tomorrow.
And I think the other thing that's important is about pipeline itself is that it's fundamentally about maximizing shareholder value. And
because this is business.
That's right. That's what the C-suite is responsible for. So now they can do good and they can make money.
Right. And I mean, that's business.
That's right.
You are literally losing money by not having X amount of women on your board, women on your leadership.
And we would say, actually, so because we really want to make sure that people don't think we're like a Count Your Women app.
That's right.
We don't want people to promote women just because they're women.
Yeah.
The real issue is that what's happening is that qualified women are actually being held back. That's actually the bigger issue. So we endeavor, right? So we endeavor to solve that.
Everybody raises
versus the just put a woman in there because somehow magically being a woman will add to your economic impact.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so that's something that we, and if you look at the macroeconomic landscape, this is actually a huge issue because women are the majority of university students in over 100 countries. We are fast becoming the most educated part of the population in the United States. We are leaving the workforce, and we are projected to continue to leave the workforce until 2024. So understanding that broader macroeconomic
the changes,
the factors that are actually coming.
It's amazing.
This is not just about the nice thing. This is not about being nice or a social issue. This is fundamentally about, do you want to grow your business? And if you do, this is what you have to do. Being the daughter of an immigrant and a refugee, I mean, I have a really strong sense to give back. And the two things that we were always taught was to never give up and to always do your best. And when I think about the women and men coming up behind me, if I know what the situation, what it was like for me to keep climbing, I have an obligation to change it for other people.
That's right.
Right, to make sure that the women coming up behind me have more opportunity than I did, and that the men can have a different trajectory. And I fundamentally believe your brand and what you do is not about you. It's about taking what was given to you and your gifts and giving back. And so for me, Keep Climbing is not about me and like who I am. It's about how much impact could I actually have to change what that trajectory would be for other people. Because when we change economic opportunity, there are a ton of benefits. We alleviate poverty.
Right.
We change the economic opportunity for children. There's a whole thread of other things that we can change, and we can fundamentally shift our society, and that's what keeps me going.
And that's worth it.
Totally.
Well, thank you for building that. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Extraordinary. I cannot wait to see how you keep kicking ass, how you keep climbing, how you keep building, and excited to keep learning from you. Thank you for being our amazing Basecamp Denver guest. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being with us here in the audience. I hope you all have an amazing Thanksgiving week. Keep kicking ass out there in the world. Keep climbing. Stay awesome. Take care, and I will see you in January. Bye.